building resilience and industrial innovation across sectors. My name is Juvila Kropaite. I will be your moderator today. I will provide a couple of sentences on the context in which we are in. Resilience and security in general are really important topics in Europe, the cornerstones of Europe's future industrial and societal landscape as well. The comprehensive security approach about which we will be talking today does integrate civilian and military preparedness, safeguards vital societal functions, and enhances Europe's resilience under normal conditions and in the times of crisis. The conditions currently could not be called normal, as Russia started a full-scale invasion of Ukraine several years ago, and we are experiencing hybrid attacks in Europe, mysterious drone incidents, and so on and so forth. Comprehensive security addresses the need to protect critical infrastructures, secure supply chains, and ensure the continuity of essential services, while at the same time driving industrial modernization, innovation, cross-sectoral cooperation. What is the role of cluster organizations here? How can they help advance agenda by mobilizing industry and innovation capacities? These are the questions we will attempt to answer during this cluster talk. And thank you for joining. Thank you for saying good day, hello, good morning from different places in Europe. I can see that, and welcome to the cluster talk. As I said, the session is about comprehensive security. What we'll do, we will, as always, hear the news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. We will have a presentation from the Commission, the innovation journey towards territorial preparedness. As always, followed by the panel debate, and funding opportunities that currently exist will be presented too. So this is roughly the agenda. The housekeeping rules that you possibly may remember is the Slido app, or not necessarily an app. You can just scan the code and participate in a poll. We will use Slido. We will ask you what you think comprehensive security is, and a couple of more questions, hopefully. If you do have a question, you can always use the Zoom Q&A function or the chat function to comment or share links, which you're doing, which you're commenting on, and the chat function is currently working. So let's continue doing that. But if you want to speak, it is also possible. You can raise your hand and we will give you the floor. That does not necessarily happen very often, but if you feel that you want to ask a question live in person, we very much encourage that, and we're happy to hear from you and see you possibly as well. Do note that the session is being recorded, and the recording will be published on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So good morning again. That's it for the housekeeping rules, the technical tips, and I will want to give the floor to Nina Hopman, who is with the European Cluster Collaboration Platform.
Thanks, Juvila, and good morning to everyone. Before getting started with the topic of the day, we would like to highlight a few news that are of interest. For example, today we are also going to start about Ukraine, and we want to highlight that the Rebuild Ukraine International Exhibition and Conference will take place on the 13th and 14th of November in Warsaw in Poland. It's a great business fair on the road to the Ukraine Recovery Conference 26, with over 5,500 stakeholders with a strong private sector focus. You will have an exhibition hall in EU Valley and a lot of Ukrainian municipalities widely represented with investment projects. There are different conferences and meetups happening during the exhibition and conference. We have the EU-Ukraine Investment Conference, the Aid and Development Meetup, the Ukrainian Subsoil Wealth Conference, Solar Invest Forum, and the Energy Conference, and the Restructuring Recovery Construction Forum. So a lot going on during those 2 days. The link is in the chat to have a look at the conference, and you also find the information on how to register for this event. In this context, there are also matchmaking sessions happening, both at the commission stand at the event itself, but also online on the B2Match platform, which was created with the support of the Enterprise Europe Network and in collaboration with clusters from Ukraine and the EU. And this helps to facilitate direct B2B meetings between EU and Ukrainian participants to discuss on potential collaboration, for example, on strategic industries like defense and dual use technologies, but also in various different sectors and areas that you can see here on the screen, for example, on construction, energy, finance, IT, logistics, and so on. So have a look at the B2Match platform and on the matchmaking options at the conference. Looking at the EU single market, there's a research conference taking place in Brussels on the 19th of March, for which there's an open call for papers. So submissions are open until the 31st of October this month to look at the interplay between the single market and industrial policy. So this could be a topic also looking at designing industrial policy in a fast evolving global context, national and regional industrial policies within the EU framework, as well as deepening the integration within the single market. So if any of you researchers are working on this, or any of the colleagues or someone in your cluster, they can submit a paper for this conference on the EU single markets. The Eurostat Regional Yearbook is out, the 25 editions. It has a comprehensive overview of the economic, social, demographic, environmental developments in EU countries, but also in candidate countries and in 4 EFTA countries. And a special focus in this edition is looking at sustainable prosperity and competitiveness. So you will find maps, figures, and infographics on the topics in the different regions and how they develop. The link is in the chat so that you can have a look at this year's regional yearbook. Give us your feedback if you have attracted any investments to your cluster or to your members. We have prepared a short survey from the ECCP as part of our report for this year. And we want to showcase the impact of cluster organizations in fostering investment activity and regional development. So if you have 5 minutes, please fill in this survey and we can include your data in the reports. The topic of comprehensive security will also be addressed at our C2 Lab in Kuopio in Finland, which we're organizing together with the Kuopio Water Cluster, the Comprehensive Security Cluster North Savo, Super Ecosystem, Boost Eco, the Savonia University of Applied Sciences, and the North Savo Regional Council. It is a workshop-style event where you will have the opportunity to meet new partners and develop project ideas, for example, for comprehensive security, which is why today is also a great opportunity to dive into the project, into the topic and think about concrete project ideas, which you can further develop at the C2 Lab. Registration is still open. It will happen on the 28th until the 30th of October, and you also have the opportunity to participate in the Cluster Summit Finland, which happens on the first day. And last but not least, let me also remind you of other ECCP events. The Clusters Meet Regions and European matchmakings will take place in Spain, in Portugal, in Germany, and in Denmark, still in November and December. So great opportunities to meet up and to discuss with other clusters and cluster stakeholders. You have the list on the ECCP and the different registration links when you go to the overview page of the events. And with that, I hand over back to you, Chivile, and many thanks.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of information, but gladly all of the links are in the chat together with a good morning notes from everyone. Thank you for those. We are done with the news of the European Collaboration Platform and the events. It could all be found in the chat. We will move to the keynote, I would say, presentation. Senior Policy Analyst at Joint Research Council at the European Commission, Carmen Sigero y Janis, will be with us to present the innovation journey towards territorial preparedness. Thank you, Carmen, for joining. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sibyl. It's a real pleasure coming back to the EU cluster talks after 4 years for presenting the work we have been developing at the Joint Research Center, working with regions about dual use and defense technologies and the way in which the territories can develop innovation policies to make the most of the window of opportunity that we have and creating not just industrial development at the regions, but also contributing to the European strategic autonomy. Could you please plus the following slide? I think Sibyl have presented the context quite well, but just me highlight 2 ideas. Competitiveness need to be hand in hand with preparedness. And the dual use technologies and the dual use industries has a window of opportunity to reply to the European needs. Now there is an unprecedented level of investment that need to serve the society and need to serve the security, but could also be an element to develop many other domains that can be fed by this competitiveness vector. Please, the following week. Well, we developed an exploratory research activity we call REDUALOSA, Regions Dual Use Open Staging Autonomy, trying to explore how different territories with different place-based sensitivities were approaching their innovation policies, harnessing these dual-use technologies. And this technology, we wanted to have this vision that these technologies need to be the ones more relevant in the current scenario. So we work with territories with different level of proximity to the Ukrainian conflict, different level of technological innovation, and also different level of regional development. So we work with Podkarpacie in the south of Poland, in the border with Ukraine. We have also an initiative with Estonia, and as a counterpart, we have an initiative in Andalusia, in the western border of Europe. And we were exploring with them how their ecosystem were dealing with the new policies. Please, the next slide. I just want to share with you some basic ideas of all these territories. Well, cyber conscious Estonia. Estonia was subject to a cyber attack that was for them a wake-up call to develop a strategy very comprehensive, involving all the ministries, involving all the society, but putting the business in the core. So their connection with the NATO initiative, their connection with the cyber ranger that allow experimentation and testing and training is a tremendous vector for innovation. And we have amazing companies that are part of the technological cluster that are in the vanguard of the cyber technology at the global level. Please, the next slide. If we move to Podkarpacie, Podkarpacie is a traditional aerospace cluster, but they are developing a very nicely and very alive cluster and managed vehicles that is now in the emergence of new technologies in high connection with the university, but the possibility to count on a certification center that allow this energy that coming in collaboration with the Ukraine neighbor to make the most of this wave of innovation that is coming, that is disruptive drone development, is an opportunity, not just for the Polish colleagues, but also for making them the facilitators of an innovation process that can spread all across Europe, coming from Ukraine to the rest of the continent. Please, the next one. And if we come to Andalusia, that is also a traditional aviation cluster, this emergence, and they have a very strong tradition of defense industry, the emergence of the space sector, also in collaboration with the Spanish space agency, is making is creating an opportunity for diversification that spread to the rest of the economy. And in this sense, we have a small cluster with a small company. So my message here is how important is the cluster role, but also the way in which the region is defining special tools to support small and business enterprises to cooperate and to aspire to be part of larger projects at the European and global level. So how these companies that has the capacity to use this innovation also need to be to have the signals to be able to compete at the global level in cooperation, because critical mass and being part of the strategic project is the key element, because the market is not local. As you well know, we are competing at the global level, and the strength of Europe is internal market. being able to collaborate and to be part of a strong initiative. So please, the next slide. These are the initiatives the regions are, some of them, or just the flavor of the initiative the region are launching. But the regions and the territories face many weaknesses that we need to address. And these are the elements we have harvested in the analysis: the fragmentation of markets, the multiple layers for governance that make extraordinarily complex for the companies to deal with, the fragmentation of funding and the need to create synergies, the dependence of external non-European providers in raw material and technologies, the difficulties to harness to maintain the keep of the pace of innovation. Sometimes the academia and the cluster need to align their pace. When we talk about the defense market, the companies are not aware of the defense requirements. So we need to define new tools for make the defense market to be accessible for these companies, the requirement, the certification. So this kind of advanced services need to be also deployed. And in connection with the Ministry of Defense, with connection with European level, so this multi-level governance and the connection and the synergies among industry, among incentive frameworks is essential. We need to reinforce territorial collaboration, and the role of the cluster in this sense is essential. And combining technologies, we cannot talk about drones without their security and without the space technologies. So the idea of the dual-use technologies combined, cluster combined at the European level, working together for addressing this scenario and making the most of the opportunities we are now witnessing, I think is essential. But I would like to highlight one element. We need to think about a wider concept that dual use and defense, and this is why we are now thinking on preparedness, because we need to be anticipating the things that are going to happen. The crisis we have already we have faced need to make us learn about how we can be prepared for preparing our societies. And this also is a scenario for innovation, because the crises are a kind of landscape shocks that allow the reconfiguration of the system and make innovation opportunities to happen. So for doing so, we are thinking about how the concept of preparedness can help the territories to make the most. Please, the following slide. And for doing so, our recommendation from the project is that we need to incorporate dual-use approach to the development strategies, and thinking in smart specialization as a vector to incorporate preparedness by design approach. Because this approach can harness the whole of governance, we can understand how better combine the different layers of funding. And this is an opportunity also that is facilitated with the modification of the cohesion policy, where defense can be incorporated. So we can try to leverage many more levers that can help the territories to make the most of their cluster and their industrial fabric. We need to remove the barriers that the SMEs are facing for entering in the defense sector. We need to prepare them to understand the different certification processes, to understand the NATO context, to understand, because we are going to face many similarities regarding security, regarding confidentiality in the new scenarios. We need to address the skill gaps. We need to use the infrastructure for facilitate the cooperation. And we need to create also the spaces for being aware of the emerging needs. So we have a strong connection with the defense sector. We have a strong connection with the element that can alert the system about the needs, so we can help the system to react on time. The following slide, please. And as this has been the learnings from this small exploratory research activity, we are now to scale up our learnings and keep on working with new regions in an approach more experimental that will be based on creating the connection between competitiveness and preparedness. This is what we call territorial preparedness, and we are working with the European Parliament to launch an experimentation journey in which we can design new policy tools for working with territories to explore this new space of opportunity. So we are more than welcome to follow us, and we are very happy to have the opportunity to share what we have learned. I'm more than happy to be at your disposal to reply your questions, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present our work.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the presentation being so dynamic. I wanted to make a comment on what you said about the different level of proximity to the, as you put it, Ukrainian conflict. We in the Baltic region, in the Polish region, we like to emphasize that it's not the Ukrainian conflict, but it's Russia that waged a full-scale invasion, so that it's clear who is the actor. But
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
in this region, we understand the urge of defense quite clearly. You mentioned Andalusia, and you said that defense tradition is quite big there too. How big of an urge have that region got, would you say? How willing are they to quickly adapt and contribute to the rise and the needs of the of defense in Europe?
Well, the region of Andalusia has traditionally developed a very diversified the defense industrial sector. They have the aviation, the military aviation, they have naval industry, and has always been very active in the defense industry. The system is very willing to collaborate and to participate in the European programs. The society is quite sensible about the conflict that we have in Europe. And also the sector is absolutely aligned with the European policies. So I think in this very moment, the willingness of the Andalusian community or Andalusian society and the Andalusian ecosystem to participate and to contribute to the current scenario and putting all the innovation energies at the service of the situation are full.
Thank you. Carmen, there are questions coming in, and one of them I will read out. But first of all, we have Monica, who has raised her hand, and hopefully she wants to speak to us. If that's the case, we're all ears, Monica.
Thank you. Monika Antonowicz from Polish Agency for Enterprise Development from Poland. Hello to everybody. I wanted just not pose the question, but I wanted to comment. But you talking about the importance of this conflict on Europe, and I want to mention in the scope of this presentation that remember that dual use is not only about the war, about the army. It's also emergency, firefighters, and so on. For me, from the point of view of researcher and policymaker, it is important to show to the clusters that there is another area of cooperation and another area for their to have services and products, and that is important for whole Europe, because we have climate change and we have this issue with disasters, natural disasters, and so on. So I wanted to just mention it, just to not to forget about it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We will definitely not forget, because we will talk about comprehensive security, which essentially is not just purely defense, but it's a good comment. I don't know if you want to react, Carmen.
Yes, if I may. The concept is preparedness. So I can agree more with Monica. We are thinking about all the crises. We are thinking about all the climate crises we have actually suffered already, and the energy disruption. All these processes has been already happening in Europe, and we need to be prepared for them. This is the concept of preparedness, and the dual use technologies are essential. The space technologies, the drones, and of course, all the cyber elements that are needed. So I can agree more. This is our main messages, that dual use are essential, and they are multi-use technologies. And these are the industries that can help in this preparedness scenario.
Would it help, Anne is asking, if there would be an innovation dialogue platform at EU level where public buyers could explain what they would like to buy in 5 years' time, and where research and innovation entities could explain which innovation they are working on in the next 5 years? I was wondering if maybe there is a platform like that or a similar platform already, but I'm not really sure. If anyone has a comment, please raise your hand. But would it help, Anne is asking, to have such a dialogue platform? What do you think, Carmen?
Well, I think the work that the cluster are doing and the platform that are already available have a good route, an essential route for developing this scenario. But I am sure that could be an amazing initiative to have a global market, an European market that allow all these technologies to match and to find opportunities. In this sense, I think Enterprise.network is doing a good work, and it has been always going in this way. And I think they can take this idea to explore and to extend this concept.
Stefan is saying Enterprise Europe Network is such a platform. So thank you for that comment. We will move. Carmen, if you could stay with us, we would be very happy. We will have a panel debate during which we will expand on the issues you have now touched upon. But before we start with the panel debate, I would like to ask everybody to scan the QR code or join slido.com and put in the hashtag resilience. And we would ask you a question so that we understand at which level you are currently in, but also I can see from your questions that you're very much involved and you have very specific questions. So the first question that we will raise at Slido is an open one. What would you say? What does comprehensive security mean to you? It was pointed out by Monica, and it was also pointed out by Sylvia, that defense and security issues are not just about the war, and that is right, even though they are about war too, which is currently happening, sadly, very close to us. But dual-use technologies have been mentioned several times, and comprehensive security does include not just defense per se. So what does comprehensive security mean from your perspective? Do give us a keyword, and it will come in clouds if the answers start repeating. For now, we've got civil security, whole society security, systemic approach, integration, shared responsibility, mindset, external and internal security. And I can still see that 5 participants are still typing. Estonian model, whole of government, whole of society, military and police, civil security, robust civic security, global overview, many keywords that you are giving us, public-private cooperation, and yet we've got several participants still typing. Imera, citizens security, robust civic security, civilian security. This is something that that repeats itself. So I think it's clear that it does include security, not just if we talk about defense industry per se, but also other measures. We will discuss that now. Thank you for those approaches. 3 participants are still typing, but I would like to already invite them to continue typing. But we have seen what you are posting. Thank you so much for your responses. Shall we go to another question to see? To choose one of the multiple options. How prepared is your organization to contribute to Europe's comprehensive security? Somewhat prepared, not prepared yet, very prepared, no idea. You have to choose one, and then we will know what the general level of preparedness is. And I'm guessing that the somewhat prepared will dominate because it's at 60%, which is nearly 2/3 of you. Gladly, no one has chosen no idea yet. They have now, but hopefully at the next session, it will have moved to the not prepared yet, or very prepared, or somewhat prepared. Yeah, somewhat prepared, 50% of you, so half. Not prepared yet, 1/3. Very prepared, 20%, which is good. And we will probably see in the panel debate the examples of very good preparedness. Thank you for those responses. Somewhat prepared, more or less, everybody, 50% is somewhat prepared, 20% prepared, and there is some kind of a level of preparedness we can conclude. Which sector has the greatest untapped potential for comprehensive security? And this is a more specific request, probably a question. And if you could give us an example of a sector, which sector has the greatest untapped potential for comprehensive security? Health, someone is saying. Thank you for that response. And we will see what others think, whether that's health or whether that is manufacturing industry. The greatest potential. We have education as well, agriculture, food, cybersecurity for finance, all of the most important keywords coming in. Thank you for that. There's no one dominating sector. Food security is an important topic as well. We will ask the participants if that falls under comprehensive security. We will get a chance to talk to the panel discussion participants as well. Energy is very important as well. Forest management, I think it is, right? Food, water security. So water and food security and energy so far have come out as two of the most important keywords. Critical actions, not only infrastructure, critical industry. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Energy, water security, food. We have 4 wonderful participants who will share their ideas about comprehensive security, and that's people from different countries, different clusters. Ukrainian Cluster Alliance CEO Alexander Yurchak is with us, project lead at Comprehensive Security Cluster North Savo, Harriet Lonka, a director at Tampere Region Safety and Security Cluster, Petri Nikanen, and also head of European Affairs Union Camere Campania, chairman of the EEN Aerospace and Defense Sector Group, Simon Sparano. Good morning, everyone. I will invite everyone to turn your cameras on. I think you have done that. Everybody else, please send in your questions or raise hands to make comments. And thank you so much for being so active. What do we understand as comprehensive security? Let's start with you, Harriet, and maybe at the same time you could say a couple of words on the very organization you represent.
Thank you very much, and thanks for this opportunity to be here today. I'm working on the initiative of North Savo region in mid-Finland, and we are creating a comprehensive security cluster. And with that, we mean how to improve the regional resilience in cooperation of our spreadhead fields of smart specialization in the region. So that means for us, the comprehensive security is how to strengthen preparedness, continuity management, management of critical infrastructures, and other vital functions of the society through and in these industrial sectors. And that is a way how also to improve and enhance the regional livelihood in general.
So if you participated in the poll, you probably picked the very prepared option.
Yes, actually I did, because we have been very active now with bringing in these views, and also by organizing this C2 lab now, which comes at the end of the October. And that's also my passion. I have done my PhD in legislative studies on government security strategy work, which actually in Finland includes this comprehensive security concept.
It's very important that you mentioned the lab, and I also meant to mention it earlier on, but it's a good point to do it. Concrete projects on comprehensive security will be further developed at the C2 lab in Kuopio, Finland, right? 28th to 30th of October. And all of the attendees of this cluster talk are very warmly invited to join the C2 lab as well. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for giving us your approach. regional resilience, right? How to strengthen preparedness, management of critical infrastructures, and so on. We do have another representative of Finland, Tampere Region Safety and Security Cluster. Petri, you're with us as well. Do give us your view on comprehensive security and what your cluster does.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Well, for us, the comprehensive security means the Finnish comprehensive security model, where all the stakeholders are involved in making or have the responsibility for the security. So it's not just authorities, but we see that businesses, NGOs like Red Cross and others are very important in this, as well as research institutions and citizens. And when we look at the comprehensive security, we are interested in how to enable this kind of a multi-actor cooperation, how to integrate it in all sectors. So when we look at the regional and city strategies, how comprehensive security of citizens is there. And of course, resilience and preparedness is one thing, and this kind of continuous development. So as we see the security environment in Europe changing, while we have very strong system in Finland, like I think that we need to kind of adjust and adjust to the learnings from Ukraine. What comes to our region or so, I would say that we have been working on comprehensive security, like that is the basis of our cluster. So we started like 14 years ago, and we have quite strong ecosystem here in this region. So we try to get everybody involved, and when we see the opportunity, we start projects to work on concrete items like how the businesses can survive different situations. Thank you.
When you say that you have to adjust to the learnings from Ukraine, does that also mean that you have to sort of keep updating your preparedness, which is of quite a good level, right?
Right. Yeah, I would say that the national model is all good, but like we see from regional point of view that how we are seeing the critical organizations that are currently very well prepared in business, that is evolving, but we want to involve more and more of the business environment in general and the companies, and the idea is that if there is this kind of a prolonged crisis, it's important that the enterprises, they work and the society can work as well as possible. So we are looking into ways to expand the Finnish model to cover, for example, in businesses, more and more of different parties. I would also say that we have seen quite interesting learnings from Ukraine on how they have involved both businesses and universities in finding quickly the answers when those are needed.
Yes, thank you. Let's get some examples from Ukraine. What can comprehensive security look like in practice? What does it look in practice? Alexandra, would you update us on that?
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me. It's really a big pleasure and honor for me to present our community, Ukraine Cluster Alliance. So I manage this organization, which unite today more than 40 Ukrainian clusters, and the 10 of them united in a resource center. We call it Resource Center Dual Use Technology. Yes, Ukrainian case is really like a worldwide showcase about resilience. Every week, every day, we have drone attacks and missile attacks, not just on front line, but also on our city, on our critical infrastructure. And however, if you go to any city, let's say even Kharkiv in the east or south, you find like businesses work, critical infrastructure work. Yeah, so it's like somehow it's like normal life, if we can call it. Yeah, so it's a really example of great resilience. And up to me, comprehensive security is about integration of all this kind of resilience, military, economic, technological, societal, into one system. So we reach it to really keep a very high level of resilience because of this integration. And our cluster alliance, our association, is part of much bigger kind of initiatives at government level and as a business support organization, volunteer funds, and so on. There is really great mobilization of whole society.
Thank you for now. We will, I hope we'll get to more specific examples throughout the talk, but yet for now, I want to also refer to Simone, who has not spoken yet, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself and your understanding of comprehensive security.
Thank you very much. I'm Simone Sparano. I'm representing EN, Enterprise Europe Network. I'm working for the Association of the Chamber of Commerce of the region of Naples, southern Italy. And I'm also chairing the sector group Aerospace and Defense. That's maybe the EN more linked activity to defense and to security. About your question, yes, EN is really active for many, many years on the field of security. We were starting to speak about security, I believe something like 10 years ago, before the crisis and the need, the event that bring us to the discussion in the last year. We strongly believe that this interconnection between different sectors, we are not talking only about defense, but we are talking about cooperation of different sectors to be prepared to each emergency. As you said before, we saw about the people were talking about sectors involved like food or other sector like forest. Is it true? Each in this vision of security, we have to involve each sector. We have combined in a holistic way all the sector and be ready and prepared to any event. We should try to interconnect different technologies and also cooperate on different level. Different level mean technology, on innovation, between big company and SMEs, and also about the collaboration with local authorities.
Thank you for now. Do we have any examples of that, Simone? Do we have a very good example of how everything works together, as you put it?
Of course, we are talking about dual use. Dual use is this kind of combination between military and civil technology, and also the way back, because we have also to think in a different way, approach it in a different from a different point of view. In our case, as EN, we are supporting many companies to catch the opportunity of dual use. And also we are guiding SMEs in the European Defence Fund to catch the opportunity of European Defence Fund. What we're trying to do, we are trying to explain that the dual use can be an accelerator. It's a huge opportunity for companies to develop their technology, and they have to see the technology from a different point of view. As security and defense for the future, it's totally hybrid. We cannot think we have to think out of the box. We cannot think with the same approach of the past. As an example, we are helping many companies coming from other sectors. Of course, the closest one are automotive and maritime, to change the technology to defense and security technology. But we have example of sensors. We have an example also in health sector, and we have also some in textile and example in food sectors.
Thank you. I think, Harriet, you wanted to raise your hand at some point and you wanted to react to some comments. So I want to give you the floor now.
Thank you. just saying about the Finnish circumstances in comparing to our two clusters like Tampere region, what Petri is representing, and the North Savo region. So they are very different in many ways, so that there is a large industrial background and very strong tradition in the Tampere region, which is a growing region in general. And North Savo, actually the food security is our main offer for the Finnish national preparedness and national security, and also that the main part, 98% of our population is also employed in the micro enterprises. So that it's like these kinds of the SME development is very much in what we work with, where actually the growth also should come in general in Finland. And what comes to this, as Simon talks about, I very much agree about this dual use, how we need to develop the understanding. But what I would like to underline there is that we when we think of dual use, we think dominantly about what defense sector needs and what dual can there be. But we would also need to think about the other end, how we understand dual issue in other sectors. What is needed for cybersecurity, for instance, food production, animal husbandry, farms, and so forth, and very many other things, so that we enhance our understanding, and also as Alexander points out, that there are so many different issues. We understand we need to strengthen our society for different kinds of crises. So this broad understanding is what I call for, and I think it's a big challenge for us all.
So which sectors then should be more actively engaged in shaping comprehensive security? Would you say that it's food, or does something else come as the most important option?
My point is that we need to think of this business field as well, like energy, water, food, were very much brought up in this questionnaire we made here. And it's very important to understand that the authorities and security, like official partners, cannot be responsible for the resilience in general, but it needs to be done in these different fields. So our authorities are busy, and they are needed in all their kinds of their legislative tasks. They are very much there is very much resource demand there, and of course then one part of the business development is to understand how we create systems and structures and solutions for those authorities also. Of course, that's part of also the business development opportunity.
And I think that one of the points that the Commission has mentioned in the presentation was about the barriers to enter the defense sector for SMEs. And I was wondering, before I forget this point, Simone, would you expand on this a little? What kind of barriers are there, and how should they be removed?
Yes, that was one of the first issues that Enterprise Europe Network was trying to overcome. Of course, it's not the same. The most of our technological innovative company were used to work with Horizon, and they find many difficulties to engage European Defence Fund. Of course, we are, as you know, EN it's present in each region, and so the first thing we are doing, we are trying to helping the match of technology, and we are also guiding company to understand what it means dual use, which are the opportunity of the European Defence Fund and dual use. The problem are done about national rules. They are completely different for each country. And so it's really complicated to build partnership between countries, because the moment they are working on the project, they discover there are barriers in each country, and at European level can be some That's the strongness of the network, because we can help them with the local member to find solution and to understand the rules and the legislation. And so the guidance, it's in this phase, the guidance for SMEs, it's really, really important.
Alexander, another Alexander from the audience is asking this. Are there now or are there going to be programs on an EU level regarding dual use, providing, for example, funds for companies in order to prepare their production lines to be easily switched for defense purposes?
It is includes in both EDF, European Defence Fund, or also in Horizon. You can present your application, your technological application, also with this opportunity that after the development, it can be used in a different way.
I also want to, I know we are jumping from one topic to another, but I wanted to ask Petri about the Finnish situation. You have mentioned that the expanding of the Finnish model would be useful. Harriet said about involving other sectors into comprehensive security. Finland in general does have a very good level of resilience. Both of you mentioned, and we know this from media literacy group and media literacy focus that you've got in Finland. What does it look like from the Finnish perspective? What is the first action that other clusters, for example, in other countries should learn from the Finnish example? What would you say, Petri?
Well, I think that the Finnish model, where all the parties are involved and not only authorities but also civil society, that is quite important. We have been thinking about this topic, like is the Finnish model, is it exportable? Because we have certain things that are in the society in place, and it might be a little bit hard to replicate. But like I think the important thing that is that in each of the regions you have to look like what are your threats and how you should address those, and also how all the parties are involved. So what you come up with is that you will have this kind of a joint preparedness exercises with all the parties needed. You start to develop these kind of urban security projects or business continuity and preparedness projects that help the companies to prepare for different situations. You look at the availability of workforce and kind of this research security. You look at quite many facets, and I think that you have to kind of take small steps in starting to build the model. And also what we see is kind of always the question is that we have very good model on national level, where we have the Finland's National Emergency Supply Agency that is doing good job on national level, and then we look how we could somehow complement that on the regional level to meet better the regional needs of the stakeholders. But like it's not easy task to kind of take the model and just replicate, but like starting on getting all the parties involved and identifying the concrete projects to make the first steps, I would do it like that.
Well, what are the good examples, Alexander? What do you say? How can clusters mobilize collaboration across different industries, research, public authorities to enhance resilience? What is the first thing we should be doing?
Yeah. So I already mentioned about our initiative, Cluster for Defense. So it unites like concentration of all cluster we have in the Ukraine cluster lines, which relates to dual use and defense technology. Today, these are more than 10 such clusters. And as good example, and this initiative focus on, let's say, challenges we have in dual use military sector, such as innovation, improving supply chain, digitalization, utilization, reskilling, upskilling. These its positioning inside of Ukraine Cluster 9 is like a program, mid or long-term program, and we want to fill up all these pillars by concrete projects. For the moment, we are looking for funding of this program, but many projects we realize ourselves using our internal resources, some external opportunity. As example, I would mention quickly growing iron cluster from Lviv region, which is strongly supported by Lviv City Council. So this is a good example of also integration of and mobilization of regional authority and cluster community. So as example, I would mention it's Rivne Medical Cluster, which has today several projects and reskilling, upskilling, tactical medicine, and they are leading organization in Ukraine in this field, and reskilling, upskilling, not just military but also civil population. And we have many different such kind of example. And as a cluster, I would mention Kharkiv IT cluster, dual use cluster from Kyiv, maritime cluster for Ukraine industrial clusters. The last one, for example, they mobilize their member to produce a new kind of UGV, unmanned ground vehicle. So it's robotics. So several SME produce such product together. Even before the war, they did not. They are not really a military manufacturer. As other example, I would mention, of course, our, let's say, collaboration with Brave One, which is state national accelerator, and they did really enormous work to mobilize startup as SME. Before the war, we had maybe 20 manufacturer of drones. Today we have more than 600, and overall in the ecosystem of Brave One, there are more than 1,500 SME startup which really produce innovation, let's say, innovative products every day. So our cluster community make parts of this big state accelerator. We collaborate with them and so on. So there are many such examples, but we support as well as government initiative, which mainly from economic side, which were oriented to resilience of manufacturer. For they generated several initiative incentive for a relocation, a localization, decentralization program, moving more than 1,000 enterprise from south and east region to the safer regions.
Do you have any examples of current collaborations with the European Union for cyber security purposes now active?
Yeah, as well, in cybersecurity, we have a cybersecurity cluster, which closely collaborate with several European clusters. And typically, we collaborate with state agency of cybersecurity. With it was also our, let's say, success story, because we collaborated with Spanish cluster to provide special training program to this state agency of cybersecurity. Let's using our relationship with Spanish clusters. But typically, there are many initiatives in cybersecurity, so we collaborate on different level and different segment of this topic. But the key actor for us to coordinate this work is our cluster of cybersecurity.
Julien has commented that, so it is directly with NCC, not public-private.
Yeah, what do you mean NCC? National Coordinating?
National Coordinating Authority, right? That would...
Okay, yeah. Public-private, that it depends, because you know, there are many institutions in Ukraine, many organizations, business association which act in Ukraine in any sector, including cybersecurity. So this question how we collaborate with them. If we look for a very centralized, you know, program with unique coordination overall like vertical, like it exists in Russia. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have it. Every sector is a bit fragmented with a different group of leaders. Sometimes they compete each other, and sometimes that's true. We lack a good level of coordination. But anyway, everybody understand that the collaboration is a key to be successful, to really to progress, and we have only one enemy. It's Russian Federation. It's terrorist state. That's why it's, you know, in our mind, in spirit of all Ukrainians, there is that we should collaborate.
Talking about collaboration, how else can clusters mobilize collaboration across industries? Knowing that clusters do have a key role in building value chains, how about the possibility of a meta cluster, Petri?
Yeah, it's a very important question. Like I think that all the kind of knowledge exchange and sharing of learnings and understanding what are the other clusters in Europe is important. What we have seen, for example, in Ensure Collaborative, that is 9 European clusters that they are working on multiple topics, including the comprehensive security, is that the challenge has been to find funding that would support this kind of a meta cluster work. So usually we find the funding tools for us to support our membership and the companies and get them involved. But when we try to kind of build the collaboration, that is a little bit challenging on the financing part.
Harriet, did you want to comment on that as well?
Yes, thank you. I think in Finland we also have a bit of a challenge because we are lacking kinds of a national cluster policy also in sense to support these kinds of developments. What we have been in North-Savo trying to kind of find a new way to is we also joined European Network for Defense-Related Regions network, ENDR, which is in which Tampere region, Petri led, and Riihimäki region in Finland are already members. But that was a specific thing for us and for the ENDR, that we are kind of bringing in more and strengthened this smart specialization strategy, the regional development kinds of aspect. And that's what I would be calling for, kinds of unite these these different kinds of networks also to enhance the cluster creation. What we are also making an initiative at the moment is to create a thematic smart specialization platform in the context of, we title it Comprehensive Security and Resilient Value Chains. Under the industrial modernization entity, we are working on it with 3 different partners at the moment to create this proposal. And that is also very central, that how we create also these existing systems so that they give food for creation of also, I think I agree with this need for the meta cluster development, both nationally and Europe-wide.
Just a very brief comment. So the thematic smart specialization platform, the main goal of it is what?
It is to raise this understanding of this wide potential of the comprehensive security solutions as kinds of fuel for industrial modernization. And of course, as I explained already earlier, our specific interest is in boosting the SMEs, finding the new business opportunities here.
One question from the audience, and then we will move to the sort of summarizing statements. Rashmi, are there any active or upcoming collaborations on critical raw materials? Does anyone have a response? Critical raw materials.
I think just to, I cannot say about the ongoing cooperation, but that is definitely an important issue. I mean, from the Eastern Finland point of view, we have lots of mining industry which is producing the critical raw materials. And on the other hand, we are in Finland very dependent on the import via the Baltic Sea, for instance. So this needs to be, and it would, in my mind, also to be connected to the resource efficiency. And that's part of the industrial modernization, actually, also.
Yeah. One last comment from each of you. So how can we summarize, in what ways, what other ways, the ones that have not been explored yet, or maybe some of them should be strengthened, does comprehensive security complement existing EU strategies on resilience, defense, and industrial competitiveness? Simone. I think we need your microphone on to be able to hear you.
Sorry. My point is that we should integrate more at level of the ecosystem, the cluster, European Union, and the local government. I really see that each of them is going in different direction for the moment. I can understand that the readiness, nobody was ready. There were always topics that were put it away that they will see in a different way in a different moment. But now have all the players of the ecosystem should go in the same direction in a joint with a joint strategy. We cannot think about defend ourselves or be secure in a country leaving behind somebody else. There are no borders. As Carmen said, one of the most active players in Spain or in Portugal, they are really, really far from the border, but they are really active. We see active countries like Portugal, we see active countries like Southern Italy, Spain, and so on. And I strongly believe that the European Union should be really this player that connect clusters and SMEs and local government to decide a common journey.
Thank you. Thank you also to those who are sharing links. For example, the raw materials question was raised, and Marek has posted about the raw materials conference, so the link to be found in the chat on the topic of ENDR and civilian technologies and dual use. Also, please note the following upcoming conference. So there's a link to that event as well. We are launching Eurocluster specific for critical raw materials, Marek has commented, so everything could be found in the chat. And I would want to ask for the final comment from Petri.
Well, I would say that that how we complement is that we actually get the authorities, businesses, including those SMEs, to work together on preparedness, and they share information, build skills. And by doing that in the region, we make both our region and the EU stronger and more adaptable. So I think that the clusters are in very important role in making things happen on the ground in the local ecosystem.
Alexander?
Yeah. In my opinion, clusters are excellent. They are natural orchestrator of industrial ecosystem, including dual use and defense. We don't know other organization or business support organization who can do cluster this role and function of networking, matchmaking, brokerage, and coordination. Yeah. So, but in Ukraine we have, let's say, a special challenge. That let's say most of policymakers, they do not understand this role of clusters. So we work with government, with regional authority to create national policy, cluster policy, regional cluster policy. But typically what we have in Ukraine, like dominated trend of so-called fast track, when all investment, all funding go directly to startup and SME to ensure a quick transition of new innovative product from development to front line. But typically, this approach ignore a deep ecosystem issue, like development of R&D infrastructure, or how to go to serial production, how to go to high level of scalability. That's why we need, in Ukraine, we strongly need support of cluster initiative, especially because we address this ecosystem issue. You understand? And in program Cluster for Defense, we have more than 40 projects already developed, and most of them are developed for collaboration with European and Euro-Atlantic partner. But the biggest issue is funding. Yeah, that's why we rely with recent news about competitiveness fund. What DigiGrow say us, it's really will be great news for us. But once again, any kind of collaboration, any kind of this integration between a cluster, we really welcome, and yeah, we will appreciate any kind of such collaboration.
Thank you. So funds is a key important element that you mentioned. Harriet, is there, in one sentence, is there anything else regard to the role of clusters that we have not mentioned in this context?
I think we need to be humble. We need to want to kind of develop our common understanding on what comprehensive security can bring and how can it complete. And that's, I call for action together. And I hope our becoming events will help this C2 Lab and all others which are mentioned. My claim is that we are now at the time to heightened readiness for building resilience. So we have not done quite all we have been able to in Europe, not only what comes to the military defense readiness, but in our how to not work in silos, how to see the cross-industrial cooperation for the innovativeness. I was very happy to hear how much the innovativeness is enhanced in the Ukrainian examples, and this is what I call the clusters for in the context of comprehensive security. Thank you.
Yeah, so a call for an action together. Rashmi is also asking, how can we be part of your clusters in regard to critical raw materials, for example? So how can we act together? I would suggest for now that the Clusters Collaboration Platform has a LinkedIn profile, for example, where discussions can also continue. So this is one option, a call for an action together. That was a very important last point from Harriet. At this point, I will thank you very, very much for your comments and your wonderful, very important examples. I will move to back to Nina Hopman now to present the financial opportunities, because that point was raised as well, that funds is an issue, Ukraine was saying. So Nina, the floor is yours now.
Thanks, and very interesting points. Many thanks to all the speakers. Since the point of funding was raised, just to highlight a few calls that are open. The EIC call to support Ukrainian tech SMEs and startups, for example, which shall enable them to attract and to get private investments and to attract them, deploy innovations on the market and to scale up. Overall budget of the call is 20 million euros, and the grant amount per company can range between 300,000 and 500,000. And the deadline is the 26th of November. You can find all the information on the Funding Intended portal. There is also an FAQ for this call to support Ukrainian SMEs and startups. So have a look at this one. Then there's a Horizon call open, which is called Accelerating Uptake for Open Proposals for Advanced SME Innovation. The aim is to support SMEs and startups in delivering mature digital and security technologies that respond to EU civil security priorities and accelerate the market uptake. The project should involve security end users as validators and first adopters, and the expected outcomes are market-ready solutions for EU civil security challenges, easier SME access to public bias and finance, and a strong SME partnerships to reduce EU dependencies on non-EU suppliers. The deadline is the 12th of November. You have the topic ID in the screen and the link in the chat. Another call, uptake acceleration services. As the name says, it's to accelerate the market uptake of EU-funded security research by providing specialized services and advisory support to SMEs, startups, and security practitioners. So the project are expected to accelerate the innovation uptake within the security ecosystem, to support with a self-sustained service mechanism to act as a market catalyst, and to have a stronger collaboration between research, SME, security practitioners, to have an improved technology transfer and market access for innovative solutions. Same deadline, also a Horizon call published on the EU funding and tennis. And last but not least, the expanding investment ecosystems. We've been talking how to get funds. This is an action for at least 2 years, which should be proposed by business acceleration service providers and or investor networks and or innovation hubs in less developed innovation ecosystems or moderate innovation ecosystem to facilitate the entry of foreign funds from the strong innovation or innovation leaders regions. Projects should support with, for example, market orientation or introduction programs for foreign investors, market orientation also for local startups and funds. There could be, as a project activities, for example, roadshows to leading innovation hubs, or the organization of European international business fora, conferences and events, or a repository of best practices. This list is not exhaustive. There are many more options for project activities in the call, so have a look at it. The deadline is the 20th of January next year, also published on the Funding and Tenders portal. Many thanks, and back to you, Julie.
Thank you so much, Nina. Thank you for reminding us of that. 22nd of October, European Investment Agenda, Missing Capital for Innovation and Industrial Transformation. Do register for the next cluster talks. Do continue the discussion on the LinkedIn group of the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, the general discussion group, and on other social networks as well. This is the list. Do collaborate and talk and discuss everything that we have discussed today and all of the other topics that really matter. The hashtag EU Clusters Talks or ECCP, if you are posting anything, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you so very much for joining today, and see you at the next Clusters Talks. Have a good day and continue the good work that you're doing. Thank you so much.